Hello everyone and welcome to this month's edition of In the Grove. I'm Sue Heaton and Jeff Franke will be joining us as well. Our guests today are Grace Hong Duffin, and she comes to us from the Kenneth Young Center. And Jeff will be talking with Officers Rick Meyer and Officer Mack, and they are with the K-9 department of our police department. So as always, we hope that you will return. We will be right back with the program. Welcome back to the program, everyone. I'm very happy to introduce my guest. This is Grace Hong Duffin. Am I correct in pronouncing?
Yes.
Welcome.
No, it's great. Yes.
Wonderful. And
Thank
Grace,
you.
you come to us from the Kenneth Young Center here in Elk Grove Village. First, how about a brief background about you yourself? What brought you to Kenneth Young, and how many years have you been working there?
Well, I haven't actually been there very long. I joined the Kenneth Young Center about 2.5 years ago as the Chief Operating Officer. I came from the state of Illinois and then decided that I loved Kenneth Young so much that I would apply to be the new Chief Executive Officer.
Wow, and that's your title now.
And I got the job.
Seems like that must have a lot of responsibility with it.
Yes, my background is really in policy making. I'm an attorney as well, and so much of the work that is being done at the agency really affects lives and people, which I really love. When you're at the state level or at the county level, you're creating policy, but you're not really quite sure how it's going to affect the people until it's actually implemented.
Yes.
And with working at an agency, you can actually see what policies work, what in the realities of it doesn't work, and what kind of is going to really make a difference in people's lives.
So you're saying even at the state of Illinois, they were aware of a town called Elk Grove Village in Kenneth Young?
Sure
Yes,
thing.
really?
Yep.
So that came to your attention then?
Yeah, and so I was actually recruited by the previous CEO. I had stayed into the Rauner administration. I started with the Blagojevich administration, stayed through the Quinn administration, and then I stayed into the Rauner administration.
You do not at all look old enough to have had that many years of experience. So
yeah,
that's
it's
wonderful.
been
And that is a lot of experience.
Yeah, and prior to that, I was a Cook County Assistant State's Attorney.
Now, that in itself, really, you have all this experience that you bring to us here in Elk Grove.
Yes, and it's been exciting. I've learned something different and new at each job.
So all of that contributes now to what you bring to Kenneth Young.
Absolutely, and the perspective I'm bringing, especially around children and adolescents, knowing when, as with the Cook County State's Attorney's Office and working with, juveniles and people that have been arrested or witnesses that were kids themselves, and then seeing them kind of on the different kind of trajectory here at a community agency, it makes a whole world of difference of how you look at a child.
Well, I'm thinking how lucky we are that Elk Grove captured you to have
thank
you
That's so nice.
working with us, certainly. Well, let's talk about Kenneth Young itself, some of the services that are offered over there. And is it only for Elk Grove residents? Or?
Our primary focus is obviously the Elk Grove Township. We do receive funding from the Schaumburg Township because we have offices over focusing around child and adolescents at the Schaumburg Township building in Hoffman Estates. But it's really whomever we can serve, we want to serve. Obviously, when we get extremely busy, our priority is the Elk Grove Township and the Schaumburg Township folks. But we are trying to find ways because there's a lot of folks that need help, and we want to be able to.
Well, I heard there's sometimes quite a waiting list for people that might need service.
Yes, because again, going back to there might be, folks that have private insurance or insurance that is, better, but the Medicaid population or folks that don't have the greatest insurance, we would want to be able to serve them and see them. And the need is great. Because again, having a waiting list in and of itself is just shows how much need there is in the communities.
Yes, because now you focus on certainly mental health issues.
Yes.
And people can't really afford to wait when there's impending mental issues.
Yeah,
correct?
so we definitely triage. If we know somebody's in crisis or extreme crisis, we know that, or they're at risk of hurting themselves or others, we want to bring them in right away. Sometimes we actually even see kids in crisis in the emergency room, and we have a unit that actually goes into the emergency rooms or kids in crisis in their homes and triages and makes the assessment of whether or not the kids could be safe in the home or they need to be placed elsewhere. And so we have the gamut of knowing, you know, hey, this is maybe a case of just grieving a loved one that might have passed, or hey, there might have been an episode that is a short-term kind of you just need to talk to someone, to long-term chronic folks that are living with a mental illness and will for their whole lives.
And
so
we
run
often
the
hear
gamut.
that with mental illness, it's something we don't talk about or recognize that much.
Yeah, and it again, you would think that folks could talk about it more easily.
Stigma.
Yes, but the stigma is still there, and it goes in all sorts of communities, whether it's small, whether it's big. So even, you know, the folks that have it in their families, they don't talk about it. You know, they talk about, oh, well, you know, she's just different, or he's having a moment. But really, it could be more than that, and so it just doesn't get addressed because it gets pushed off as something else.
So you have counselors over there.
Yes.
So someone that is viewing the program now that is saying, I wasn't really aware, and maybe they are suffering with mental abuse at home, spousal abuse, thoughts of suicide. Kenneth Young can address all of that?
Absolutely. So, you know, people call us, and even if we don't have the referral source, so, you know, folks that suffer from domestic violence, that is something that we can treat, but there's also different resources that for a domestic violence victim, we could also do referrals. We can actually help them in terms of their mental health around the abuse, but there's also other services that, again, folks that are suffering or survivors of domestic violence can help, and we are also a connector. We also want to care coordinate those services for the entire family, whether it's, you know, the mom and her kids, or even the family, and the extended family sometimes gets involved as well.
And do you have a lot of feel-good moments when you see success from your program?
You know, I gotta say, it's even the small things. So when I first started with the Kenneth Young Center, I went to all the different teams that we have. So we run 25 different programs. And it, like I said, it runs the gamut to serving Meals on Wheels, doing care coordination for older adults, to even doing services for kids that are as young as 3. Right, so we run the gamut in terms of programming, and so there is one program that we call our behavioral support specialists, which are really mentors. So everything that they're learning and experiencing in counseling, we want them to actually be able to practice it in the real world, right? And it's not just in an office.
Sure.
So out in the real world, what are some of the things we're practicing? And kids and adolescents have a special place in my heart. So I went to a child and adolescent behavioral support specialist mentoring team, and they started with highs and lows. And I was like, oh, that's great. And one of the mentors' highs was, I had a child smile at me today. She greeted me with a smile.
And when that hasn't happened in the past, then that's a very big moment.
Well, she said this child had not smiled at her once for 8 months. 8 months.
What a moment then.
I was like, wow.
Yeah. So that's what a prize, what a gift.
But the things that we take for granted,
Sure.
right? Like, I see my children
course.
smile at me as soon as, well, most of the time when I walk through the door. But a child that decides that, you know, smiling is too much of an effort, and you get a smile after 8 months of working with this child, like, yeah, that's got to be a total high.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff that
a
when you
reward.
hear about it, you're just like, wow,
Right.
all the things you take for granted that people don't know about, it's wonderful to hear.
Now, what about funding or fees? Like you were saying, you do help those that are on Medicaid.
Yes.
And is anyone ever turned away, or is it mainly, you know, it's a long wait list, but
Yeah, so
there's always help to be found?
Yeah, so because of ACA, the Affordable Care Act, there was an expansion of Medicaid, so we're able to serve a lot more people, which is
Do
wonderful.
you have the staff
We have been, and what we're trying to do, because we do have somewhat of a wait list currently, we're trying to, again, I came from business operations, remember?
So,
I was
yeah,
the chief
you have
operating
the
officer.
yeah, so you know
and
how
so
to
my right, so my background is us trying to
That's why they hired you. You have the background.
Work in a way where our counselors are still seeing the clients. Some clients could then, that as they get better, might not need to see our therapist as much, so then we could bring new clients in. And so, yes, most of our clients are on Medicaid. That's the majority of our funding. We are trying to expand our funding sources, because again, when you put all your eggs in one basket, although we want to keep serving the Medicaid population, we don't want to always think, okay, is the state going to pay us? Are they going to pay us on time? How much are they going to pay us? And then the way that Medicaid is, there's also managed care involved now, which is insurance companies saying, okay, these are the services that this person's going to be allowed. And so based on what we want to be doing, we don't want to just be restricted to waiting for state dollars. So we've been applying for grants, looking at foundations, upping our game around fundraising and getting more exposure.
Well, I know you have a walk, or have had a walk every year. You have a fashion show. Do you have any other events coming up?
So our walk is our big one. We are going to be celebrating our 50th. Yes, 50th in 2020. So it's about a year and a half. So we're again
that building has been there now.
So that was probably built in the late 70s or early 80s.
Okay, but the
actual Kenneth Young Center, which was So Kenneth Young.
Think about how many people you have helped throughout those.
It's great. Annually, in terms of behavioral health, we serve about 4,000 clients annually, and then community support programs, so that's everything else, we serve about 9,500. So, over the years, we've served a lot of folks, and we have clients that, again, because of their chronic illness, might have been with us for 25, 27 years.
And really rely on you. Is there any truth to the fact that as we get into holiday season, that you see the need more, there's more people during the holidays that have mental issues?
Well, I think folks just get sad around the holidays because there's talk about family and giving and being thankful. And so when you don't feel like you have that, like if you've lost a loved one recently, or you've taken a turn for the worst health-wise, or you've lost your job, or somebody else then it's hard to focus on the positives. And so and those are sometimes those cases where they just need somebody to talk to, kind of short term, something that again, I don't have a mental illness. I'm not crazy. Nobody said you were. Sometimes a conversation with someone is all you need, and sometimes talking to a stranger makes it even easier
because you can really open up,
right? And there's no judging, right?
No
where a family member or friend be like, really, like
get your act together.
You're fine, right?
And then it just makes it worse because you feel no one understands.
Yeah, and it's it gets frustrating. So again, coming to us, there is no judgment. Again, if there's a focus that we want to connect you to the right therapist, as well, because it's not just about like, hey, I'm just going to assign you to whomever, right? You need to fit with that person and make that connection. That way you can open up, you can really get better in a more valuable, quicker way.
So for viewers again that are watching that may all of a sudden have that moment when they say, I now know where I'm going to go, we'll give the contact information.
Yes.
And you're more than happy to.
Absolutely.
There's a starting place.
Absolutely.
And you can at least hear them out and direct them for some type of help.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We want to be able to help, whomever calls us. Like and like I said, if we don't have the exact services for you, we will connect you to those services. We are an agency that does a little bit of substance abuse, but we don't.
That's not your main
formal substance abuse, but we are in the midst of trying to get licensed to do that. So again, we were talking about expanding our services to those needs, and that's something that as I take over the Kenneth Young Center in terms of trying to find service gaps.
Okay.
I'd love to find out, okay, what are some of the needs in the community, especially Elk Grove Village, because we're in the community. What are the needs in the community that aren't being fulfilled by another agency? Again, we don't want to double efforts, but how can we either complement it, supplement it, or really fill that need for the people that need it? And we've found out that substance abuse is something that we found a need. We'll have people call us.
And the village itself is certainly working on that now.
Absolutely, and that's just wonderful in
great.
terms of,
Right.
again, us trying to work with the village in terms of getting the folks the help they need and to fight that battle.
Right.
So,
Well, Grace, in the minutes that I've shared with you, all I can say is an excellent decision was made in
thank
hiring
you.
you for this position.
thank you. I find it.
CEO.
I actually find it very exciting. It's like I said.
I can tell.
It's a
You
need.
can tell. I can sense it's your passion.
Yeah,
So-
there's really a need there, and again, I think folks think, oh well, Elk Grove Village, that's a nice village. What
It's-
kind of problems do they have in the northwest suburbs?
It doesn't matter.
It really doesn't
You can
matter.
dig
There's-
deep, you'll find problems.
There's people that have needs everywhere.
Everywhere.
And like I said, I think that's where Kenneth
Sure.
Young Center needs to be to help with
Thank you
those
so
needs.
much for bringing this awareness.
Oh, thank you.
And telling us the extent of help that is available to our residents. And hopefully anyone hearing this program and that may even wonder, now they know at least they have a starting point.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much, Grace.
Thank you
I know
for
you have a
having
very
me.
busy schedule, and we're very happy you took time to be with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
And we will be right back with the rest of our program.
Welcome back. My guests are today Officer Rick Meyer and Officer Mack. Welcome, Officer Mack. Welcome, Officer Meyer.
Thank you.
Great to have you guys here today. It's probably one of the first times I've ever been this close to a police dog, so I'm a little shaky right now, so please bear with me. But you're here today to talk about different things that Officer Mack has been doing for the Elk Grove Police Department. Oh, he's checking me out now. How about, can we start off with how long have you been with Mack, and how long have you been in the K-9 department?
I've had Mac for about 2.5 years now. Before that, I had another police dog here in the department for about 8 years.
Okay. So Mack's been around for 2?
Yeah, about 2.5.
It's hard to believe that a dog this friendly could be someone to chase someone down. But so I understand that Mack has been in part of an Olympic event. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, we get the dogs from a kennel called Von Lick Kennels in Denver, Indiana. And once a year, we go back and participate in the K-9 Olympics. It's a competition that they have for various dogs from all over the world. There's some dogs from Colombia and Turkey that are present. There are bomb dogs. There are narcotics dogs that participate in various events throughout the week.
Now, when you say that, are dogs trained differently for different sense? That, I mean, like say, is a bomb dog the same as someone or a dog that goes out and finds drugs?
No, it's entirely different how they train the dogs. It's the same idea on how you imprint the dog. However, you're never going to have a dog that is narcotics based and then also drug or bomb based.
Okay. What were some of the? I understand he won an event. What was the event he won?
He won first place in exterior narcotics searches. So what that was is you have a 6-minute time limit to search about 13 vehicles. And it's all up to him. I give him the command. He goes around and searches the equipment or the vehicles that we're doing. And I have to call the alerts based on what he's doing. So you get tested on how many of the finds you locate and also how quickly you do it.
Okay. And so
Lots.
he did it in the fastest time?
Fastest and most accurate.
Oh, okay. All right. What other events besides that one did they have to go through?
During the week, there's about 18 different events. Some are patrol-based, where everybody participates, including the bomb dogs. And then the other ones, you just compete. If it's a narcotic-based, you just compete against the other narcotics dogs. And then the bomb dogs compete against each other.
Okay.
So there's probably about 100 dogs total, 30 of which are probably bomb dogs, and the rest are narcotics dogs.
Now, is this every year that something like this goes on?
Yeah, it's usually at the end of August every year.
Okay. And do we participate? Now, we have another police dog, Uber. Does he participate also?
Yes, he also goes, and there's several canines from around here go as well, from our training group.
Okay. Wow. He's so friendly. um, so you said other dogs from the other area towns go also?
Yeah, we have about, I would say 15 to 20 dogs in our training group, and probably half of those guys come to the competition with us.
Okay. Now, do we ever get, or does he have a call out to other towns? I mean, does every town have police dogs, or?
When I first started, there weren't as many dogs that have, or many towns that have dogs in this area. Over the years, more towns have gotten dogs just because they see the benefit of having them.
Sure.
So if I'm not working or we don't have a dog working and there's something going on, they could call the dispatch center, and if there's another area dog, either in Hoffman Estates or Arlington Heights, they could come and assist us. And likewise, if they're off for the day and I'm working, I could go assist other towns.
Okay, now, being 3 shifts, we have 2 dogs. You're on call at other time, or, I mean, say something goes on at a different time, that is there always a dog on duty?
No, not always. I'm assigned to the afternoon shift, so I work from 2 to 9:30.
Okay.
And then Officer Soul and K9 Uber are assigned to the midnight shift. And they come in, they start at 9:30 and work until 5.
Okay, so that pretty much covers most.
Yeah, we have good coverage.
Yeah, okay. So, are there any up-and-coming events that you have that you're scheduled to go to?
I think the only thing that we have coming this weekend is the fire department open house. Officer Uber and Soul are going to do a demo there.
Okay, I've noticed that. Well, always at the police open house, but did we do some stuff at the village picnic also?
Yes.
Okay, so do you go out to schools or anywhere, or how
Yeah, we do a lot of public demonstrations throughout the year, either at schools or people come to us. Just this past week, I had a Girl Scout troop from Itasca come, and I did a little demonstration with Mac. And then we also do school sniffs that if some of the school districts call us, we get a group of dogs and we go and we search the lockers.
I gotcha. Okay, so you just do a sweep.
Yes.
Okay.
Platz. Platz.
Now I notice you're speaking German, correct?
Yes, his commands are in Dutch.
Oh, Dutch. I'm sorry.
Because he was born in the Netherlands. There are other dogs that are born in Germany that get German commands, and then there's dogs that are Czech that get Czech commands.
Okay,
So
so
it kind of depends on where the dog originated from. So he was born in the Netherlands, and then the kennel that we get them from go out and pick out the dogs and then ship them back to Indiana. And then we go to Indiana and we pick out of probably about 6 to 10 dogs we'll take a look at.
now obviously you live with the dog. The dog's part of your family.
Correct.
Is there ever dogs that don't gel with people, or?
There are. We when we went to pick out Mac, we specifically were looking for a dog that had this kind of demeanor, so that we do a lot of stuff with the schools. So we want to make sure the kids get an opportunity to pet them, just like you're doing.
It's unbelievable.
You know, if I say the magic word, though,
No, don't say it. That'll be TV for us. No, I mean, part of me is like, it's so cool. This dog is so friendly, but I can just imagine.
yeah, he's very laid back,
what
and low key.
He could be. I also understand you did a Tough Mudder with him. Is that?
Yeah, one
is
of
that
the
true?
events at the Canine Olympics is what's called an obstacle course, and it's a 1.5 mile run that you do with the dog. There's various obstacles for either the canine officer or the canine to negotiate, and then there's also obstacles for both of you to negotiate. One of them in particular is it's a rope swing. So you're supposed to down your dog on a dock, and then as the handler, there's a rope that you swing out over the lake, and you're supposed to come back and land on the dock. Very few people are able to land back out on the dock, and he's supposed to stay there the whole time while I'm swinging out over the water.
Did he do it?
He stayed there, yeah. I ended up face first in the water.
Oh.
I've only landed it once in about 10 years of going there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. He's just now. Obviously, this is not his demeanor when you have him on the job going after something. What are some of the? I mean, has he found a bunch of drugs and
Yeah, within 6 months of him graduating from the Canine Academy, we assisted a task force at one of our hotels here in Elk Grove, and they had wiretaps, which they were listening to phone conversations. and they knew that the guy that was staying at the hotel was supposed to have a large sum of money. They weren't able to locate it, so they called me out and had Mac here search a couple of cars. Mac immediately indicated on a car in the parking lot, and once we went inside, he went in the back seat and he hit on a hidden trap, which is a manufactured compartment in a car, and there was $199,000 in cash in the vehicle. Plus.
Whoa.
So because we were assisting a task force, we get a percentage, Elk Grove gets a percentage of that money, and that gets put into an asset seizure fund so that we could use the money to purchase equipment like Mac. Mac is a sworn police officer. He's considered a piece of equipment, although, you know, the village owns him and everything like that. I consider him, you know, part of my family. He lives with me.
Yeah.
But ultimately, he's a tool that we use here at the department to make our job easier.
Well, I will never call him a piece of equipment, that's for sure. I don't care what his status is, but I must say most of the police officers are friendly, but I've not had a police officer this friendly, or that I've let lick me either. But oh, it's such good. So obviously, again, you know, we talk about you know, how nice he is here and that. I mean, is he trained to go after somebody, not just?
Yes, he's what's called a dual-purpose dog. So two things that he does is he finds drugs and he finds bad guys. Couple of things that we've had prisoners escape from the hospital because they'll go there for having chest pains, and they'll end up over in Bussy Woods right across the street. On 4th of July, not this past year, but the year before, we used him to search for a prisoner. It took us about an hour to find him, but eventually with the use of Mac, we located him hiding in the Forest Preserve. So he's able to locate somebody through ground disturbance and fear scent. The person that's hiding is giving off fear scent because they're afraid of getting caught by the police, and we just harness that for the dog. The dog feeds off of that. He's trained He's trained to bite and hold. So if I give him the command, he'll bite somebody and then hold on to them until I'm able to get them into custody. Platz. Here, come on.
I don't want to know that word.
Yeah, that's one that we keep secret.
I was going to say,
We
plus,
keep that one close to the chest.
he might be getting the fear scent from me, or he did at first. I mean, it's like, I cannot believe how docile he is, but I've seen him in action during the events that you go to, and I do not want to be on his bad day.
Yeah, I've been very happy with him.
Wow. Well, I can't thank you guys enough for coming by. I think that anybody watching the show, the open house will be over with at the fire department by the time this airs, but anytime that there's an event where Mac is at, they have to come out and see how he performs. I mean, it's such an addition to the police department, and I thank you for being able to have the demeanor to deal with something like that. I mean, he's part of your family, so know, you're sending them into danger sometimes, and I'm sure that's got to be an issue.
Yeah, he's got special equipment that he wears. The VFW was kind enough to donate a bulletproof vest, and it's also, his vest is better than my vest. It's stab resistant. So if somebody just has a knife that they pull out and tries to stab him, it'll protect him. So we take a lot of precautions to keep him safe, just because he is a part of the police department, and the village has invested a lot of money in him. Yeah,
well, I mean, we know that the job that our dogs do is phenomenal, and what they can do to help out the police department is well worth whatever the costs are. So, well, Rick, thank you again for coming, and Mac, can you give me 5 or no? Oh, a lick will do. Okay, thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
All right, thanks again. We'll be right back after this.
Well, that's our show for this month, everyone. And Jeff and I both want to thank our guests, certainly Grace Duffin from over at the Kenneth Young Center. I hope you found the information as interesting as I did. And certainly if you need any help, please don't hesitate. We have a great resource over there at Kenneth Young, and with Grace now heading up. And we thank her for taking her time. And then Officer Rick Meyer, thank you for stopping by with Champion Mac. It was a lot of fun to be with him today. And if you, like me, cannot believe this is already the last month of this year, We've had our first big snowstorm. We've had our tree lighting ceremony. We've kind of wrapped up another tremendous year here in Elk Grove Village. And on behalf of all the staff here at the television program, Channel 6 here in Elk Grove Village, we want to wish all of you good health and lots of happiness as together we all celebrate this wonderful holiday season. So it's been wonderful being with you this year. Have a very good time out there in Elk Grove Village, and we will see you next year. Bye, everyone.